Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, I know what you want to do. You want to talk about some BB. Maybe you were not able to catch the live showing of episode 16 and you need somebody to recap it for you. That is what I'm here for. And I just want to just quickly point out that I am very, very thankful for the amazing people that continue to support the channel. And also, this episode is brought to you by the Really Hood Podcast. That's my podcast, available everywhere. And also, check out brokenheartshirts.com. That is my clothing company. Go check it out. And I want to go ahead and quickly point out that this is a repost because my last stream was so choppy. I just couldn't. I couldn't watch it. When I watched myself and I couldn't watch that. And I'm not going to shortchange you like that. So I want to do this again, but I'm going to do it a little bit cleaner. All right, here we go. The first thing is the Festy Bestie twist has ended, and Julie announces that very early in the game. Taylor has gotten full revenge on her haters. This is a game reset, certainly. Taylor has been fully vindicated. If you think about it, the first 5 players out the game all targeted Taylor, and they're all going sequential. How do you say it? How do you say the word I'm looking for? They're simultaneous. No, not simultaneously. Sequential. I can't remember the word. Sequentially, something like that. And then let's go over. We had Paloma, Pooch, Amira, Nicole, Daniel. All sequentially. Somebody help me. What word is that? Sequentially. I can't remember the word. It's because it's late. But anyway, it's been pretty much a full game reset. Next, Daniel was on to 6 of the 7 members early in the game, and it's because of something I've been pointed out, and it's because the leftovers, at least 6 of the 7 members, were all huddled up in the HOH room. And of course, Daniel, being a super fan, was able to identify this. This is something I was always upset about when I watched the leftovers, whether it been like screenshots from live feeds or whatever. They were always huddled together, and that was very suspicious, especially when you consider that they were just angry at Taylor not long ago. So a player like Daniel, also being aligned with someone like Nicole, could easily figure that out. Now, after Daniel notes being on to 6 of the 7, he soon realizes that Kyle is the 7th member, and he realizes why he didn't figure that out initially is because Kyle was always with Alyssa, and as such, that kind of kept him a little off in terms of trying to sniff out the leftovers. But he admits a little bit later, after he confesses of knowing 6 of 7, that he actually did realize, or at least found out, that all 7 members were in this little secret alliance. Okay. And Daniel notes this mainly because of something I said already. They don't spread out too well. And then also they show Jasmine within this episode. They show Jasmine start to catch on to the leftovers alliance as well, but not so much as Daniel did. They kind of point to Jasmine noting a few things like the fact that Michael took Monty off the block. I think everybody was a little surprised and shocked by that happening. They all felt as if Monty is on the block and he's a huge, huge threat, which apparently he is now. He wasn't when I was, maybe 2 weeks ago, in my opinion, but apparently now, after the HOH win, Monty has stepped up the power ranking a little bit for everybody. But apparently, Jasmine notes that because Monty is a huge threat and he was on the block and Michael didn't take a shot at him, in fact, he brought him down, that signaled something to the house, even players who are not playing as hard, i.e. a Jasmine. So she actually notes that in this episode. There's something funny really happens in this episode, and apparently Jasmine is still, after about a week or 2, she's still trying to figure out what's going on with this muffin, and it is soon revealed. I think Terrence told Jasmine that the person who ate her muffin was Turner, and then something else happens which was very surprising, and that is Michael had some kind of cider, and I want to say it was an alcoholic cider. It had to be, but apparently he hid it or put it in the refrigerator. And it was Alyssa finds the cider and drinks Michael's cider, and as such, she starts to just do some weird things because she's obviously inebriated. She's drunk or something to that effect. And one of the most surprising things that happens in this episode is she starts to twerk, if you can believe that. All right, yes, you heard me correctly. She twerks on live television, and then didn't look so bad. And anyway, Kyle confesses to live feeds that he has to cut Alyssa off. This was something that was very surprising in this episode. Kyle confesses that he is not happy with Alyssa's gameplay. When Monty was on the block, Alyssa went full force to get Monty out the game, and as such, that really left a bad taste in Kyle's mouth. He realized that he would have to make a split decision between his showmance with Alyssa and actually possibly winning the game with the leftovers. And this was surprising for me to hear Kyle verbally voice that, hey, look, I might have to cut my ties with Alyssa. This is the first time I've really heard that from a showmance participant. Usually, showmances are so rock solid, and I guess what it tells us as viewers that this showmance is not legitimate. It's not 100% in stone. It is something that they're still flirting around with, playing around with, but it is not in stone as of yet. And nothing tells us that more than hearing Kyle say what he says about possibly having to split up with Alyssa. But this episode also shows Daniel doing a heck of a scramble. He's scrambling to the left, scrambling to the right. He's basically talking to everybody because he realized he's in survival mode. And at one point, he picks up an imaginary telephone and says, "If I survive this week, there might be another Dan in this game." And he's referencing the great Dan, super player. Everybody watching pretty much knows what time it is. There's no way that Daniel one survives, and also there's no way that Daniel would ever be considered a Dan level player. But we have to respect this gameplay because he scrambles his tail off, and I'll tell you, this is one of the most intense scrambles I've seen this season. He goes to just about everyone, Michael, the usual suspects, but one scramble really stands out, and that was his scramble to Alyssa. When he goes to Alyssa, he not only says, "Hey, can you keep me safe?" The usual big brother jargon. He doesn't just stop there, though. He reveals something to Alyssa that really calls the showmance into question. He tells and reveals to Alyssa that Kyle is a part of this 7-person alliance. And he goes a little further by noting that Alyssa might just be a number to Kyle, that she might not really be someone that he's interested in. And Daniel's pitch comes at the perfect time because Kyle had just gone to Alyssa and just, basically told her, let's keep our distance because we don't want to become a target or be seen as a showmance. So as Kyle was telling Alyssa that, Daniel kind of creeps around the corner and lets Alyssa know that Kyle wasn't really invested in that relationship and that he really just used her as a number. And it couldn't have come at a better time because you see in Alyssa's diary confessions that she pretty much believed everything that Daniel said. So we do see that happen. So I think that Daniel certainly broke code on that because he just kind of got the snitching on Kyle, and I just thought that was like a low blow. Daniel calls Michael decision. Now, this is something that's really funny. So Daniel, at some point in this episode, references Michael's decision to take Monty off the block as one of the worst moves in BB history. And if you are a player like myself and you've been watching since the first episode, the first whatever, then you realize that this guy has no self-awareness whatsoever because actually, Daniel, the worst decision in the game so far has to be your move to take Terrence, Joseph, and Monty off the block and place. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Monty. It was who was it at the time? I think it was Terrence and Joseph, right? No, who was it? It was Terrence and no, I'm sorry. All right, I got it now. Actually, Daniel taking Alyssa and Indy off the block was one of the worst decisions ever. To have her or them replaced with your nomads, which is Nicole. This was crazy because it just showed that Daniel really didn't have a strong grasp on what's taking place in the game. Okay, calling Michael's decision the worst play in the game when you actually had your best friend evicted because you had a player players taken down. It just showed me that Daniel was he's Daniel. You know what I mean? So that happened. He called Michael's move to remove Monty off the block the worst decision in the game. Completely ignoring the fact that he got Indy and Alyssa off the block in place of his best friend Nicole, who ultimately was sent home. Also, at one point, as I told you, Daniel pulls off an amazing scramble, and he at some point talks to Joseph, and I think it's actually Jasmine and Daniel who grill Joseph, and they're trying to get information or at least spread information, spread this idea that they want to keep Daniel safe. And Jasmine says something that's very interesting. She says that there's no way that what's his name? There's no way that Joseph's in any alliance. This boy don't know what's going on. She says something like that because Joseph, to his credit, is doing such an amazing job of just playing a slouch game. I mean, he's a huge physical specimen, but when it comes to the game itself, all the social stuff, he's the kind of player that lays his eggs and leaves. When you see the HOH or the leftovers all hibernated together, I mean, sure, Joseph is a part of that bunch, but from an isolation standpoint or individual standpoint, Joseph, for the most part, kind of makes his rounds around the house. He doesn't really click up with everybody. As you can see, he was alone enough for Jasmine and Daniel to come and talk with him. So that tells you right there that Joseph is kind of playing a good game, a sneaky good game, because he even fooled Jasmine, which is probably not that hard to do. But that's not the point. He fools Jasmine enough to make her say to herself, there's no way that Joseph is in any alliance because, hey, this guy is just completely clueless. She actually says that. Now, we get to the eviction, and then we, basically, you know how it works. Julie says, hey, before we actually start the evictions, I want to give you two players an opportunity to, tell the castmates why you should stay. And this is one of the most shocking parts of this episode because Daniel goes off. Daniel blows the house apart, and it's this weird strategy that he has. Okay, I'm not sure where he got it from, but in this speech, he blows up Michael's game, and he tells everybody, "Hey, Michael is going to win this game. He's won 5 competitions." And I'm thinking to myself, "Is it 5? I felt like it was more." But anyway, he tells the house that if you continue to be bandwagon players or keep up with this herd mentality, you're going to lose. You're going to lose to Michael because he already has 5 challenge wins. And, Michael being a cool customer that he is, he doesn't blink. He doesn't wave or waver. He's completely cool and just relaxed and chill because he's Michael. I mean, anybody else would have been really visibly frustrated. I didn't see that from Michael. But yeah, Daniel certainly tries to rattle Michael, tries to create this disturbance on his way out. And he tries to salvage this crazy gameplay speech with, hey, if you want to, vote me out and continue to play the same game and allow Michael to win, fine, that's cool. But if you want to actually take some shots at Michael or have somebody in the game who you can align with to take shots at Michael, keep me in. So that was his plan. I guess this weird reverse psychology. And we know how bad Daniel is at reverse psychology because Monty completely confused this guy. So we know he doesn't really do reverse psychology well. But the point is, Daniel goes crazy on Michael and tries to blow up his entire game. And Michael pretty much wavers the storm. Then we begin with the eviction votes. And I want to just point out, Kyle kind of stuck to the script. He said he loved everybody. He went that route. Oh, one other thing that I didn't say that Daniel said, he called everybody clowns. Like, you guys are playing a clown game. If you clowns want to. And he also says that if you want to vote me out, that's fine. Basically, I actually wrote it down. Daniel says that if he gets voted out, the season will be boring. All right, I want to paraphrase that. That is an actual quote. Daniel says that if he gets voted out the season, if he gets voted out, the season will be boring. I thought that was, and then afterwards he said, "Hey, but if you want to keep me to go ahead, Michael, I'll do it." I'm like, man, you have no idea how this game works. I'm sure, but yeah, that happens. He says the game's going to be boring. So as people going to vote Daniel out, they reference everything he says. I think Joseph says, "Hey, this clown's going to vote Daniel out." Taylor even says, and I want to talk about Taylor just a moment before I tell you what she says about Daniel. She is on cloud 9. When you see her in the little eviction tunnel or the voting tunnel, and she's doing like little dances, that Taylor is on cloud 9. And then when she walks into the eviction room to talk to Julie, she quickly quotes what Daniel says. And hey, she says, "Hey, I'm ready for the season to be boring. I vote Daniel out of here." So she definitely got a queen's revenge. Okay, look, I'm not here to say that Taylor's played a great game, but you have to take note of the fact that 5 people targeted Taylor, and they were all voted out. You have to acknowledge that it's not ignorable. Okay, but that's what happens. One thing that happens that's really surprising in this episode is that Terrence gives Daniel a sympathy vote. Was not expecting that. At some point, Daniel and Terrence get real cool. Now, my homegirl Diva313, she's a person to watch me sometimes. She pointed out to me that she watched the live streams and she found that, what was it? I believe it was Alyssa and Daniel kind of gassing and pumping Terrence's head up. And I think that encouragement kind of backfired a little bit because now Terrence is like a super player out of nowhere. And he's such a super player that he gives Daniel a sympathy vote. It's hilarious. Okay, hilarious. But that's what happens. And yeah, I couldn't make that. Talk to Julie, and one thing that happens is he doesn't apologize for anything. Julie is trying to get him an olive leaf saying, "Hey, do you apologize? Do you feel bad? Do you think that you might have been?" Daniel doesn't apologize for anything. He is one of the few players respect because he doesn't shy away from his gameplay. He doesn't try to, make things better. No, he just went in and said, look, I felt this way. I did these things. He admitted to being a emotional player, and I just thought that was admirable, at least. I'm always trying to find the good in people. Julie tries to set him up really nicely. He falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. Julie says, now, there's some things that took place with Taylor. Would you say that these things were personal or gameplay? Everybody in the world is like, Daniel, just say gameplay. Just say gameplay, Daniel. We know. We know. But Daniel does something that just, once again, a lack of self-awareness. And also, dare I say, courage, whatever. It was both. And he breaks it down as to what it was both. He says the fact that Paloma exited the game, took that personally against Taylor, which nobody understands because Paloma was the antagonist in the situation. If you know what you know. And also, Paloma left her own. Taylor didn't get the game. Now, if he said Taylor's comments towards Nicole, maybe I would get the fact that he's holding Paloma's exit against Taylor. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand that. But he also says in terms of gameplay, he held it against Taylor because he lost a number when Paloma left. So, Daniel is different in that way. But yes, Terrence gives him a sympathy vote. Daniel is evicted. Daniel is completely unapologetic about anything. And then after he leaves, Julie announces something that's really awesome. She announces that the remaining players in the game are officially jury members, okay? And everybody erupts because you know how it is. If you're a Big Brother fan, you watch the seasons after season, you know that making it to jury is a big deal. And that sucks for Daniel because, man, he would have absolutely enjoyed being able to be a part of the jury. That doesn't happen. Okay, for anybody that's a little confused, I decided to re-record this episode because the first one was too choppy. I'm just hoping and praying that this one isn't choppy because then it was it for no reason, but whatever. So the remaining players are in the jury. There's a few things I want to talk about before I end this. Julie drops a huge, gigantic bomb on the viewers when she says that we have a new twist, and then it goes to commercial break, okay? And on commercial break, this is a real recap. On commercial break, we hear about a horse that passed out in New York from being exhausted and how they're going to start doing some horse reform, okay? This is a real recap, okay? I'm even giving you the commercials. Then we come back, and then you have a new twist in which Julie announces that next Thursday, did she say at 9? I think she said 9. I hate to be wrong. Fact check me on this one, but I believe next Thursday it will happen at 9, but it will be a 2-hour episode. I'm going to be right here in this very spot talking to you. Okay, it's going to be a 2-hour episode. It's going to be a double eviction, 2 hours, double eviction, and most importantly, it's going to be a new format for the double eviction. It's going to be 2 separate games of Big Brother happening at one time. The way she explained it was they're going to split the groups in half or something to that effect. And they're going to have 2 simultaneous games of Big Brother happening at the same time. One player evicted from each side. I cannot wait for that to happen. I don't even have to tell you how excited I am. You should be able to just know I'm excited. All right, but I'm going to stop here because I got a lot more to talk about. I have 3 more episodes. If you can believe it, I'm not going to sleep. I know I'm supposed to be asleep, but this is what I do. This is my passion, just kicking it with real people. And, and I'm going to just take a look. Playboy, I see you, Playboy Cardi's crack plug. Glad Daniel didn't make it to jury. Oh, my gosh. He has to be very upset about not making it to jury. And a part of me wanted him to make it there just because I like to see people happy. But I think, life is fair. One thing about life is very fair. It will give you exactly what you give it. And I believe that wherever you are in life, you made the decisions to be there. And I always take accountability for where I am in my life. You know what I mean? And I think Daniel has to do that. The way that he played the game has got him there. And he misses a great opportunity by going too hard on Taylor. I mean, all right, we can go into more. I'm going to stop here. I appreciate y'all kicking it with me. I got 3 more episodes coming. I'll be back.